Hey y'all, it's Bree Lane here. Welcome to the C.O.F.A.T blog. So yeah, this is gonna be very thick, y'all. This is gonna be very thick. This week is gonna be just getting into the origins of fraternities, sororities. I mean, it's tough. It's tough to once you've been in it for years, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. It is tough to let go. So if you love God, you'll do it. we have a relationship with him. It's very different from just knowing who he is in the Bible. But I hope this edifies you. And truth hurts and it stings, but it's better to take the hurt and sting that the truth provides now than the pain that'll be provided later because you choose to reject truth. So I humbly request my friends, my fruit inspectors, my upcoming fruit inspectors to humbly request that you hear the information and assess it afterwards. Okay. It's going to be, I think I'm going to do like probably about 4 videos total. This is my second one. The first one was an intro. Let's go ahead and pray. So Lord, Father, I pray that those who watch this video, Lord, I pray that those who have ears to hear, let it resonate in their spirit. Let them pray to you, get to know you, ask to hear your voice so that they may be edified and so that you can speak to them through their heart. In Jesus' name, amen. So first of all, again, if you didn't see the first video, I did denounce Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. Oh my God! I do want to start with the origin. So what is the very first fraternity, right? The very first fraternity is Phi Beta Kappa. That was the very first fraternity. This was a society name in the establishment of branches or chapters at different campuses following the pattern of Masonic lodges. So if this is the very first fraternity and all the other fraternities and sororities followed the same pattern in which they followed the Masonic pattern, then what does that say about fraternities and sororities, Mason breeding grounds, right? So yeah, so that's the society name, right? So it was basically a pattern Masonic lodges. Remember that, okay? And all the other fraternities and sororities followed the same pattern in which they followed the Masonic pattern. Then what does that say about fraternities and sororities? What does that say about the current state of where we are now? Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it.
Let me give you an example. What do we see here? We see a lot of stuff here. We see a key. We see an owl. We see the fleur-de-lis. All right, the French lily. You guys seen that on the New Orleans Saints uniforms. All right, we see a triangle up top, and then we see a woman who's facing the east. She's facing the right, because if that emblem is on my clothing, then her face is facing the right, and the right is always the east. That's where all the secret teachings in ancient civilizations came from, the east. That young lady up there is a goddess by the name of Minerva. Next image, please. This is Kappa. That was Kappa Kappa Gamma. This is Sigma Alpha Epsilon. What do we see again? There's Minerva up there on top, holding a staff next to a lion.
I'm going to pause really quick, guys. Minerva is one of the goddesses that is represented in deltasigmatheta, Sorority Incorporated. Okay.
See a knight's face facing us. We see crosses numbered in 3. We see a lamp. All right. We see the fleur-de-lis again. We see the fleur-de-lis all around. We see the phoenix over in the bottom right hand corner. The phoenix in Egypt, they called that the Benu bird. The phoenix is a bird that when it dies, it immediately resurrects right in its ashes. That's what the phoenix is all about. It's a perversion of Christ, ultimately symbolic of Satan. Know this, if a symbol's not attached to Christ, it's attached to the other guy. So just know that, okay? Next image, please. Theta, Delta, Chi. What do we see? Minerva again, next to her owl. We'll find out what the owl was. You saw the owl on the first emblem, didn't you? What do you see here? You see the knight again facing the east. You see a torch. You see arrows crossed. You see a scroll open. You see crossbones. You see the handshake. That's the Masonic handshake. You also see the lamp. Your emblem says everything about you. Your crest says everything about you and everything that you stand for. Well, you know, these Greek letter organizations in the 1700s and the 1800s still didn't include our blacks. So what were the blacks going to do about this? We're going to make our own thing, aren't we? Next image, please. What is this? What am I looking at? I'm looking at the Boule symbol, also known as Sigma Pi Phi. Now, the Boule, or Sigma Pi Phi, was not a collegiate fraternity. It was the fraternity that would influence the collegiate fraternities. In 1904, the first African-American Greek society was formed in Philadelphia by 6 colleagues. The Boule was formed to bring together a select group of educated black men and women, otherwise known as the elite. Fashioned after Yale's Skull and Bones. Anybody seen the movie The Skulls? Well, whether the movie was...
All right, so again, he said, excuse me, the Boule is fashioned after the Skull and Bones.
accurate or not, here's what is true. Skull and Bones exist on the campus of Yale, and where they meet looks like a mausoleum. And everything is secret. You know, George Bush was a Skull and Bones. And so was George Bush. The Boule historically takes pride in having provided leadership and service to Black Americans during the Great Depression, World Wars I and II, and the Civil Rights Movement. Now, here's where rocks will be thrown at me, because those who are attached so closely to their fraternity will want to tell me the good that they do. But you need to understand that just because something does good doesn't mean that's good enough.
Come on now. Listen.
See, we're not talking about doing good because I can prove to you that I don't need a society to do good. I don't need to be a part of an order to do good. So it's not about doing good. All right, it's about being in allegiance with one God and one God only. Being a believer and getting away from idolatry. Are you still with me? What could the Boule offer America's blacks in the early 20th century? Joining the exclusive secret society offered advancement and perks to select blacks in return for loyalty to its objectives. The upper tenth of blacks started to live the good life as Boule members, while the majority of ordinary blacks were disenfranchised. But what were the Boule's objectives? Well, here's one objective: to form BGLO's Black Greek letter organizations. I'd like to introduce you now to the Divine Nine, also known as the National Pan-Hellenic Council.
All right, y'all heard it first. Y'all heard it first. So this is the origin to how we started the Black Greek letter organizations. It was through the very first fraternity, Phi Beta Kappa, and that was established off the branches of and following the patterns of the Masonic lodges. And so that's when all the other fraternities and sororities followed the same pattern and followed the Masonic pattern, and therefore breeded the Black Greek letter organizations. Okay.
Now, the guy that formed the first Black fraternity was called Minton, M-I-N-T-O-N. He also owned the first Black drugstore in the United States. And he wanted to create such an organization. And Minton wanted to create an organization which would partake, that would partake in the tenets and basis and root of Skull and Bones at Yale. Now, Skull and Bones is the white secret society. That's where you get your presidents, George Bush and his daddy, and John Kerry, and a lot of them come out of the Skull and Bones. Them is the brothers that lay in the caskets, and basically it's a Masonic chapter. Basically, it's all Masonry, and Masonry is stolen Egyptian knowledge. That's what it is. That's the reason why you see all of the Masonic symbols, the pyramids, the all-seeing eye, and everything, because they got the same knowledge that the Egyptians built Egypt with, from the help of fallen spiritual beings. I ain't got time to tell you, this is what's helping them do what they're doing now. They worship those beings with sacrifice and the same blood sacrifices and all the stuff that they do. And that's the reason why in the Skull and Bones, they got all these guys. This is why all of these fraternities and secret societies have a homosexual edge to it. It has a homosexual edge because that's what they use to blackmail them. See, what happens in the Yale Cross Skull and Bones is when they take the oath, they have to get naked and then wrestle in mud with another naked man. This is part of the ritual. I'm just trying to help y'all. You know, you can believe it or not. You got to understand, the people that run stuff, I didn't say they was sane. But this is spiritual knowledge that you don't know. They doing this. Satan knows what it means, and he gives them power for doing it because it just shows more allegiance. See, the whole point of Satan, the sacrifice is powerful. When people do blood sacrifice, whatever, it's powerful. But what really Satan is looking at is their submission, their allegiance. It's the fact you doing what I said, do. Mm-hmm. That's what he gives them power for. So if he say take clothes all wrapped in mud with another man, so we can take pictures, so we can blackmail you. That's why, because this oath is binding oath. It's a death oath. That's why they lay in caskets, because a spirit of death on their children, because it's a death oath.
Yep.
I don't have time to get in all the Scottish rites and stuff like that. I just want to help you a little bit, just titillate you to go study some stuff, so you realize that how in the world is people laying in caskets, wrestling with naked men, calling themselves reverends, and you don't want to know why we can't get anything done. Then the very organizations that we thought was for us, why they never done nothing for us? NAACP ain't never done nothing for us. Why? It was founded with white money. It's part of the boule. They needed those organizations to monitor the blacks. The same way as the Urban League. They've done nothing for us. Why? Because they was there to monitor the blacks. These are the organizations that they use these high-level blacks to put them in, to give them prestige and honor, and they do their secret work to keep us down. Now, you don't have to believe it. Why would they do that? Why would they do that? Well, why don't anybody want to be in power? So now, who is the Skull and Bones? It's aka the Brotherhood of Death, alias the second chapter of the Illuminati, incorporated for business purposes as Russell Trust, was established in 1776 at Yale University in New Haven, Connecticut. Most politicians, black and white, are Masons.
All right, so let's stop there real quick. So did you guys notate Menton? He mentioned Menton, 3140, about the 31-minute mark. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to, so we have to follow a pattern here. It started with Phi Beta Kappa, which was the first fraternity. Then Menton formed the first black fraternity.
Most politicians, black and white, are Masons. But there's a difference. Non-whites can attain 33rd degrees. And whites get 33rd in the 3rd degree. See, blacks can only get the 33rd degree in Freemasonry. But whites get that extra third.
Always get that extra third.
Extra knowledge. That's to keep us over top of you. Now, if you really want to understand Freemasonry, all it is the same stuff they do in Africa. It's witchcraft. It's the same witchcraft. It's all witchcraft. The levels are just to make the levels. They use levels because it makes a person focus on the quest. So he'll be thinking more about the quest going up. But in Africa, they don't need levels. You just keep doing evil and keep doing wicked, and you just get more and more power. It's basically a power thing. You got what I'm saying? Now I've been over there. I know they do that. They do. The witch doctors are stronger than the witches here. Now the problem is that the reason why I told y'all before they quarantined Africa in a way was because Africans already operating in the power that they're gonna call the New Age power. These witches in Africa are already doing what the New Age is talking about. Is this evolving into these New Age, this New Age power? What we know in Africa is witchcraft. They already levitating and floating away. Go on YouTube, look at some of the stuff they're doing. These what they call magic. These guys are using demonic power to really do stuff and pass through stuff, but they already do it in Africa. So they got to keep that quiet, because if you say it's what they're doing in Africa, then oh well, this is witchcraft. Well, then we know witchcraft associated with demons and devils, but we want to make it look cute and clean. So we make it look like, it's just something fun to do. And then they got everybody already hooked on these superhero movies where you evolving into these powers. And that's what they kind of get in the head of the younger generation, to make them seek this occultic power. Then you get a generation of witches. Is this too much?
Nope.
Are y'all there? That's why you need to understand what your children are doing, what they're into. Because most of the stuff they're into, you bought it. Most of the games they got, you bought it. Most of the books that you bought it. Did y'all see on I think it was on the news where that mother bought that wand It was a pink, looked like a wand. They called it an evil stick. So why would a mother buy the child an evil stick? But when they took the plastic off, it was a picture under there with a little girl, looked like a devil, cutting her wrist. And the mothers happened to take the thing off and see up under there, that they would have put that in that little girl's hand. And this is, that little girl would eventually look in her. And this was actually, this shows you that that thing was consecrated as evil. And the mother bought it for the child. And you know what the store owner said? He said, it says it's an evil stick. Didn't she know she was buying an evil stick?
I mean,
but it was pink. They made it dressed up pink, like a little pink little wand. But it had evil stick. And under there was a picture of a girl cutting her wrist. And nobody, wasn't no big uproar about that though, you know. Now, if it was a wand and up under was some scriptures, what they trying to push the gospel on people?
Uproar.
It'd have been an uproar. It'd been on CNN. See, these Christians just trying to push the gospel on our children.
Yeah.
All right. Can we keep going?
We can.
Now, if Henry Menton, who was black, wanted to create a black secret society based on these beliefs and custom, what type of devil is he? In building this organization, now this is what he also says, his book says, in the building of the organization's plans, reliance was upon Greek history and tradition. The reason of this action are not difficult to discover, for it is well known that the study of Greek civilization was basically an acquaintance with Western civilization. So it means the West got their culture from the Greeks. But the Greek got its culture from the Ethiopians and the Africans. So that was so.
All right, so I don't want to go too deep. I'm just trying to lay a simple foundation. Okay, so tonight, guys, is all about just starting the origins. Please go and look at Idolatry and Greek Fraternities and Sororities by Fred Price Jr. I mean, he lays it all down. I'm just trying to take snippets of his video and tries to make it as simple as I can. Also, as you see right here, The Black Gatekeepers by Stephen Darby. He goes a little bit, well, actually, he goes a lot in depth, but I don't want to confuse you. So wait to watch those until I'm finished with my series. So it can all make sense. All right. So I just wanted to lay that foundation first. There is so much more to go. I'm talking about, we're going to go over shields. We're going to go over everything, just everything. So stay tuned. Hit that like button. Watch all the way through. Don't just watch 2 minutes and then get bored. And no, this is, I'm telling you from what the Lord told me. The end is near. I know we've been hearing that for several years, but the end is, I mean, he's literally at the door. He's getting very tired. He's getting very tired because no one is taking the time to do the research, to do things that we get involved in. We just watch social media and we think it's okay because everybody else is doing it, but we're not really looking into what started it, or we're not looking into what we're being a part of. And he just wants everybody to get out of it. Don't forget to, if you haven't watched the first one, the intro, go ahead and watch it right here. Okay. All right. Have a good night.